Thinks that we can't use video, but
Yeah, sorry.
I'll just show off my Millennium Falcon shirt.
You what?
All right, welcome everyone to ETSQ Tutorials, and this is the Numinous online interview live stream. So sorry about all the technical difficulties. The video feed has just recently broke just a few moments ago, so we're just going to stick with audio. But I have on the line Keith and John, who are the creators who are currently developing Numinous Online. How are you guys doing today?
Doing well. I appreciate it. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Doing very well, thanks.
All right. Well, why don't we go ahead and jump into the first question, which is just how would you describe Numinous Online, and what is its current stage in development?
Numinous is a multiplayer first-person shooter based in a fantasy setting, and it is currently basically being tweaked. We're almost ready for beta, so we're right on the cusp of beta.
Oh wow, nice. Yeah, I think in the video that I made earlier, I think I called it an RPG. Was I wrong to say that?
I don't think that's entirely accurate. It has RPG elements, but it's definitely not a full-fledged RPG in the traditional sense.
Yeah, more action shooter.
Okay, cool. So what does numinous mean?
The word numinous is a Latin word for divine, and I know the story is not really relevant to everybody yet, but the story revolves around their deity and the relics of the realm and two factions fighting over it. So basically, numinous means divine.
Okay, cool. So does that mean you actually have a story in the works, you just haven't implemented it yet?
That's correct. We actually wanted to do, this kind of flows into the reason why we don't have a single player yet. Though we have a story, we wanted to jump into the multiplayer first and just get it going. But later we wanted to do a single player version that dives more deeply into the actual storyline.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good approach. Do you think you have any plans on implementing any of the multiplayer into the story? Or is that going to be completely separate?
No, we actually think we're going to probably try to combine it somehow, some way. We don't want it to be a completely separate game. We just want to, basically expand on it.
Just kind of, yeah, build off of what's already there?
Exactly.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good strategy, because then you can get it into the hands of the people and get feedback and tweak everything. And if people are competing with each other, then everybody's going to get good at the game and probably give you much better feedback in that way.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, one thing I forgot to mention to everybody in the chat, you all can go play Numinous Online, which actually have opened up behind me right here. I mean, this isn't the full game. This is only the aerial mounted combat alpha, I guess.
Yeah, it's just kind of giving you a taste of what's to come when you actually get into the game and get on a dragon.
Yeah. Yeah, I've already played it a bit. It's very interesting controls. It reminds me a lot of like playing with like an airplane. Like I almost feel like a flight simulator joystick would work very well for this game.
Right on. We're actually
probably going to tweak it a little bit. I mean, I've heard we're definitely listening to feedback. This is one of the reasons why I wanted to get this out there, because this is going to be one of the trickiest controls to implement. So a lot of people are saying it feels clunky. I agree, it does feel a little clunky. Right now, like you said, it feels a little bit too much. I think too much like a simulator rather than more of an arcade style flight.
Yeah, I mean, I love the realism of it though. I really like how the dragon starts flapping its wings to gain speed, and it just glides when it like needs to glide, and it feels really realistic in that sense.
Right on.
Right on. Thanks, man.
Yeah. So anybody who wants to go play that, you can register on, is it Numinous Online? Oh, here it goes. NuminousOnline.com/register. So you can register an account, and that way, I haven't tested this personally, but it looks like you can give feedback to John and Keith right through the game, so you don't even need to exit out of the game.
Yes.
Right on.
So the link to go play that, well, you got to register first, but there also will be a link within the game to go register an account. But the link will be under the live stream but you have to be inside of the new twitch.tv layouts in order to see that. So if you're using the old default one, you won't see the link. So if you want to see that, you got to go to using the new Twitch or whatever. So what inspired you guys to start game development?
I'll tell you, I'll be honest with you, and for any other game developers that are in the channel, I'm 35 now, and game development was not something that I actually thought about doing until probably about 5 years ago. And that was, I was an avid gamer. I gamed constantly, everything from Frogger. I don't know if anybody's ever seen that movie. I'm getting off track. I'll say, because I had a mullet. Well, I would have had a mullet. And just driving that Frogger right across the street, But I think about 5 years ago, it was actually my wife who pushed me to do something more creative with gaming. If I'm going to be on the computer 24/7, might as well make one, So then I went to a local college that offered a gaming simulation program, and I just fell in love with it.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. As for me, I started, I don't know, it was always kind of in the back of my mind. I went through quite a few different phases and started out in the military and satellite communications, and then kind of stuck with tech for a while, and then went to film school, and then came back and decided that wasn't really what I wanted to do. And all the while, kind of in the back of my head, it's like games, 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 always games. So I just decided, you know what, let's give it a shot. I met up with Keith one day, and it just kind of, we hit it off, and here we are.
That's awesome. So I guess that kind of leads me into one of my other questions, which was what previous experience did you guys have that helped you get started in making video games?
Zero.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely none.
I mean, I had dabbled in programming a little bit, but nothing as far as gaming. I made a few tiny applications for the iOS and a few, JavaScript things for online, but that was about it.
Okay, so you don't feel like that knowledge transferred over to making video games?
Oh, it definitely did, but okay. It wasn't in the video game development process, and I certainly had no... we didn't know what the heck we were doing. We got into this.
We pretty much put the project together and kind of looked at it from probably a narrow point of view.
Yeah, I think so.
I had a broader vision, but I think we looked at it very narrow, and then when we got into it, we realized we were looking at it narrow.
Yeah. So it's definitely a learning experience. It's been an awesome experience so far.
Absolutely.
Okay, awesome. So I know, Keith, you just mentioned, did you say a game development school that you're going to?
No, this was a few years ago. I was at College of Technology. It was a game and simulation programming school. I got more out of probably the visual side of the game and programming course, or I should say degree, but programming and me, we're at opposite spectrums right now.
Okay. So lean much more towards the gaming art side.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Jonathan here is more the programmer.
So how about you, John? Are you completely self-taught then?
Yes. Yeah, I haven't actually taken any computer programming classes at all, and yeah, it's been a learning experience because of that. But I mean, after meeting a bunch of other programmers, now that I'm starting to finally meet programmers, I'm realizing that most of them honestly have been self-taught with maybe a little bit of a base, but to really get into it, they teach themselves anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does seem that way. And it's like, even to some degree, even if you go to school, you still kind of self-teach yourself a lot.
Yeah,
at least as far as I've heard.
Yeah, no, I would, even in the IT industry, I mean, they can teach you only so much. It's not until you actually get in there and start using it that you really understand how to use the knowledge that you've been given, So
well, honestly, that's where YouTube comes in.
Yeah.
I've how-to videos to death.
Yeah.
Yeah, YouTube is such a great resource.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yes, it is.
So what was the first step you took in game development and making this Numinous Online project?
First step we took. Planning it out, honestly. I mean, well, you can take care of that, man. You did the planning.
Whatever. So. I mean, we sat down, we planned it out. We talked about it over some coffee, like we were going to own. We were going to make this happen within a week.
Yeah.
But we sat down, we talked about it. We planned for probably about a 9-month development time. That's based on the fact that we could actually sit down every day and do it. But obviously, real life just doesn't let that happen.
No.
So, funding or something. Yeah, I mean, there was months a month or two that we would go just meeting up maybe once or twice.
Yeah.
And get back together. We'd hit it real hardcore, and then we'd have to separate again and do different things. But job-wise, in between the jobs and stuff, I think we're good. We're good. We're good now.
Got a lot of things to balance.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to balance for sure.
Yeah, that's the thing about game development is like it's. I mean, I know it's so time consuming, but like what I've noticed from every project that I've done, it always takes me like usually twice as long as I estimate it as it's going to take me.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
That's a good rule of thumb.
Yeah. Week plan for 2.
It's like no matter what, it will always take you longer than you originally expect.
Yep.
That's the thing about video games.
It kind of makes it fun, though, honestly. You don't see things coming. It's problem solving after problem solving, so it's a lot of fun.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a lot of problems, but at the same time, it's also a lot of creativity that it gives you.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, let's see. I'm trying to find out where my next question is. Okay, so Numinous Online seems to have a really clear image of what it wants to be. Where did this vision come from?
Well, yeah, quite a few years ago, I'm sitting down, I'm playing, again, I'm an avid gamer, so I'm playing, a long time ago, I played EverQuest, and I got real deep involved in the fantasy community. So, fantasy gaming was good for me, but a lot of the games lacked the PvP that I like. I like, when I played probably Battlefield or Counter-Strike or something like that, I just like the PvP aspect of it, So one day I was just playing, I think it was Battlefield Vietnam or something. It was a long time ago. I was playing Battlefield Vietnam, and I was like, man, it'd be so cool if I was just like flying a dragon or something right now. That'd be so much. And then, of course, you put that pen to paper and you put that on your shelf for a year or two, and then next thing you know, when you want to go develop a game, you go back to those notes if you can find them, and and there it is. Hey, this is what I'd like. This is what I want to do. So I wanted to really just combine the two, fantasy and very competitive multiplayer, but I didn't want it to be where it was persistent, where you had to work towards it every day, all day in order to keep your stats up and everything. I really wanted it to be
jump in, jump out.
Yeah, just
fun.
Yeah, just have some fun. Jump in, jump out. When you can, if you can, just have fun.
That's awesome. That's a really interesting combination.
Hey, can I take a second to answer 3 questions on the chat board real quick?
Oh, yeah, sure. Actually, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to tell them I'm using C#, and I wanted to tell them, yes, this is our first project, and yes, we will have swords. We just use first-person shooter because it's FPF, first-person fantasy.
Yeah.
How else to explain it? It's a first-person game, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because I saw in was it your Indiegogo trailer? I saw you had a bow and arrow from a first-person perspective, so I'd say that definitely qualifies as first-person shooter.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
and we got magic too, so you shoot that. But yeah, you can definitely swing a sword at people too.
That's awesome. Yeah, that sounds like it'll be a lot of fun. That's like a really interesting combination. Sounds kind of like an expansion of what's the game I'm thinking of? Is it either War of the Roses or Chivalry? One of those two.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It kind of sounds like that, but plus magic and dragons and flying.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
I really love that, like what you said, but you're like what did you say? You were fighting in Korea or something, and you're just like, it'd be awesome to ride on a dragon.
Yeah. Battlefield Vietnam. This is, I'm on a UH-60, whatever they had, the helicopters they had back then, and I'm jumping out of airplanes, and it was cool, but I really wanted to be on a dragon. I'm more fantasy style. Can I get a sword?
Yeah. That does sound awesome. Yeah, that's the great thing about video games. You can just have random ideas like that and be like, I'm going to make this my career. I'm going to do this. Or like,
yep.
I don't know. It's like, what other career do you get to do crazy, silly things where it's actually like good to think of random ideas like, oh, I just want to shoot people from a dragon.
Yeah, actually, and I'd have to say that that's actually one of the more difficult parts of programming and being an indie developer is the fact that you don't have any boundaries. You have no studio or producer saying, stay within these bounds. So you have to kind of self-regulate yourself. What's the word I'm looking for? You got to cut it down so you don't go too big, because you go too big and then you get too much and it's too bloated. So
really,
we gotta.
I'll kill the whole board, kill everybody.
Yeah, I'm not squeezing in here. No, I'm just. Sometimes we come up with ideas and then we're like, we got to wait and implement that at another time, or
that's true.
We can't take on too much; it'll never ever get done.
Yeah, that's very true. That's definitely one of the biggest challenges of being an indie, I think, is wanting to do more than what you have time to do.
Yeah.
Like, ever since I started video game development, I just wish that I didn't have to sleep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That would be so nice.
I could reprogram myself so I never slept again. I would. Oh. Yeah.
Would have so much time.
Yep.
All right. So I guess we kind of already answered this question, but I guess I might as well ask it again, see if we can expand upon it. But how much planning on paper did you do before you started work on the computer?
That's another good question. Again, I started jotting down notes probably 3 or 4 years ago, and over a period of time, it probably ended up being a couple of hours worth of scribbles, literally stick figures and things blowing up in big circles, little plus and minuses and all kind of stuff, and it was just like that. And it really probably about 2 years of just taking down notes, and then again, if you put it all together, it was about 2 weeks worth of planning on paper.
Okay. Yeah, and for me, I do it constantly. Before I program, not always. I'll write down on paper the workflow of what's supposed to happen. This happens, and this causes this, which goes back to that. Which it's just a bunch of, for me, workflow diagrams, and then I write it all down, or then I program it from that.
Yeah, that's something I need to do more of in my work. I have a real tendency to just be like, I'm too lazy to write it.
Oh yeah, absolutely, me too. I mean, I have to kind of force myself to do it, but it definitely, I found if I do it, I actually program a lot faster because I can keep my thoughts organized. So I can keep the workflow written on paper, but then I can keep my my abstract thought process going with the computer.
And to expand on that a little bit, it really was just it's kind of like anybody. If anybody just had an idea, and we typically don't write it down. But if you wrote it down, you usually put it down and you put it aside, and then maybe 6 months later you had thought about something else. You write something else down on a totally different sheet of paper, and then next thing you know, you go back and you compile them all, and then there's your plan was your idea, and then you put your idea on paper. That doesn't take that long at all after you actually do that. But yeah, like I said, it took about 2 years to actually just jot down all the ideas and then throw them all in one little pile. But 2 weeks worth of actual paperwork.
Dang. So it sounds like this game's just been in the works for a long time, even if back then if it wasn't much work, just ideas really. Yes,
absolutely. I want to say that Jonathan has, when he came into the picture to just really kick this thing off, I mean, phenomenal programmer, and he didn't say this, very humble, but I'm gonna have to say it for him. When we first started developing this game, it was developed in JavaScript. I'm gonna have to blow the lid off this. But probably about 4 months into it, he turned around and really wanted to dig into C#. And I don't know if he did how-tos or he already knew how to do it. I don't know, but he went and converted all the scripts over to C#. It was phenomenal. And he did. I don't know how long it took him to do
3
that.
days.
3 days?
Yeah.
Wow.
Man,
yeah.
Okay. That is really impressive.
Yeah, so he did really good on that, and I appreciate his work.
That's awesome. All right. How much did you have to change your planning since the project has started? And is there anything now that you wish you knew at the beginning of the project?
Honestly, the core concept hasn't changed much. But I would say if it wasn't the actual core concept, i.e. fantasy and FPS, and everything has changed at least twice.
Yeah,
honestly.
Keith did a really good job of hashing it all out and getting the details and having a very clear vision of what he wanted to accomplish. So, like you said, he started this 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. I came into it about 3 years after that. And once we started going, I mean, it's always been, if I ever had a question about how something was going to work, I could ask him, and he automatically knew the answer of what he wanted to do and how he wanted to accomplish it. So, yeah, it's pretty well established what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
Okay, so you had like all of the game logic planned out. You just had to convert that game logic into code.
Exactly. Yeah, but again, you know, and not to be that we had it right the first time, because again, we didn't. We had it quite a few times, but yeah, the core concept hasn't changed.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it seems like kind of a really simple yet strong core concept.
Right on.
That's what we're going for.
Different.
Yeah.
Let's see. All right, we already talked about being self-taught, so I guess I'll skip over. Or I don't know. I guess do you feel like we could expand upon the idea of talk about being self-taught and the pros and cons compared to, say, going to school or something like that?
Absolutely. For me personally, going to school, I mean, it opened my eyes to a lot more, because you're talking to people that do this every semester, but they're not going to expand on what they teach you, because they're only teaching you their curriculum. Where if you know, they teach you the basics, let's put it that way, and they open your eyes to what can be done. So then you get online and you can actually research from, you know, people that are in this chat room, or, you know, anywhere on the net that have tips and tricks, and you can do this and you can do that. I mean, that in itself is much more knowledgeable than any school. I mean, to be quite honest, that's my personal opinion.
No, I'd have to agree, because one of the things that I've run into so far as being self-taught is the fact that this is good and bad, because it takes me a little longer sometimes to get certain things accomplished, because I don't have the foundation that other people might have, and they know how to tackle it, or at least attempt to tackle it from the start. But I've noticed from talking to other programmers that were schooled is it's really easy to get stuck in a mindset of the way you were taught, and this is how things get done. And since I've never had that foundation, there's nothing that's telling me you should attack it this way. So I have to come up with new ideas, which may be the same way, but I have to figure it out for myself. So there's nothing kind of restricting the way that I look at solving a problem.
That is a really interesting point. So, like, if you were to do something completely wrong that just barely works, or you just do something completely the wrong way, and then later on you find out a better way, you then know why the way you did it before was wrong. Like, instead of just the teacher telling you, you know firsthand.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
And the cool thing is that thing that he, you know, supposedly found out there, he puts online for other people to gain knowledge off of. And that's where the community, that's where the how-tos come in, and you just learn so much more.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is awesome. Yeah, and you learn a lot by teaching.
Yes, definitely.
It really, like, even it kind of just forces you to cement your ideas into your head.
Yeah, I mean, you can't explain it to somebody unless you fully understand the process of what's happening. So.
Right. And then sometimes just typing it out and explaining it will make you realize that, I don't know, something about it just concretes, like, that you understand it, I guess.
Yep. Yeah, definitely.
All right. Are there any game developers in particular that you draw inspiration from, and why?
Yeah. For me, honestly, it started back with, now Keith got a little further back than I did, but for me, honestly, it was John Carmack from id Software. When I first played Wolfenstein and started really diving into the people who made Wolfenstein, and then, of course, Doom and everything else after that, John Carmack was my hero. He looked like a freaking nerd. He looked like a crazy nerd. And I really related to that, because I was a pretty big nerd myself. So yeah, I really related to him. I wanted to be him as I got older. And then other than that, I mean, I fell in love with Daggerfall when it came out. So Bethesda as a whole, that whole company really, really inspired me to get more into gaming. And then System Shock by Looking Glass, or Terra Nova, if anybody's ever heard of that. Terra Nova from Looking Glass was an amazing game. So Looking Glass Technologies always made good games. So definitely those three.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. I would have to go, again, going back to, I used to play Dungeons and Dragons. You know, my brother wouldn't want me to play with him or something. He'd kill me off real fast. I have to visit him next week. But, you know, that was a long time ago. But we had I want to say it was the Amiga or the Commodore 64. I can't remember which one, but we played, does anybody remember A Bard's Tale?
That's
so old. But that game right there sold me on fantasy too. That was, I'd have to go with that one, and probably Michael Cranford for, you know, really seeing the vision behind that game. Even though it was, if you go back and play it now, it's archaic, but definitely had a lot of content for its time.
Yeah, that's the thing about old games is like, I mean, even if you look back on them, you can look at them and go, wow, these graphics weren't good at all, or like these 8-bit pixels, but like there's still like a lot of skill that goes into the classic games.
Oh, definitely. Absolutely.
Like they're just working with the hardware that they had available to them.
Yep. Yeah, and they made the most out of it. They pushed it to the limit, and they got what they could. So, I mean, that's the fantastic part about it. And actually, this kind of brings up a good point. It's one of the things that I think really works in myself and Keith's favor is the fact that Keith comes from an RPG background as far as PvP. I come from an RPG background as far as single player, and I'm definitely more of a first-person shooter and single-player RPG player. So I think those two elements coming together in this game actually really help because I've got the preference for single player, and he's got the preference for PvP, and I think we kind of help mold the gameplay a little bit more.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, it sounds like you guys are a really good team combination.
We like to think so.
I don't think I've asked this before, but how did you guys meet as far as game development?
That is a great question.
Craigslist personals.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah? Really?
It was very interesting. Yeah, I had just moved to Kansas City, and this was, what, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
About 2 years ago. Just moved to Kansas City. And I really wanted to get this game going, but, I had a job at the same time, and I really didn't know how I was going to throw it out there. I didn't want to do it online because I wasn't very knowledgeable at the time as far as engines. Well, no, I wouldn't say engines. I'd say, the development aspect of it, other than what I self-taught myself. So maybe I felt a little insecure about doing it online because I didn't know the other person. I wanted to get that face time. So I put it out on Craigslist in the local area. Hey, I'm looking for a programmer. And interestingly enough, I think that same day or the next day, Jonathan here hit me back. And I think he was shopping on Craigslist for the same exact thing.
I was actually.
Hey, I'm looking for a designer.
Yeah, I was looking for a designer because I was working on an Oblivion mod because I'm not even going to go into the story of it, but either way, I was just finally like, you know what, I'm going to do something with games. I want to push it forward, but I didn't even know where to start. So I started working on an Oblivion mod, came up with a story, and started doing stuff and coming up with the scripting for logic and stuff like that. And then just realized I didn't have the visual talent to actually really pull it off visually. And so I was looking for somebody to collaborate with, and I put you for Oblivion mod, and of course nobody responds for that. But I see his ad for wanting a programmer, so I walk in there like, yeah, I can do this. No idea what I'm doing. But
yeah, and I started that day.
Yeah.
I never thought of using Craigslist before.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it worked. I guess it just worked in our situation, in our favor. But yeah, that really worked out. And to Mad Johnny's question down there, we are using Photon.
Yeah.
Cool. All right,
by the way, Ultima Online was definitely in our background. Somebody mentioned no mention of Ultima.
Oh yeah, yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, I can go through all the games for you if you want.
All right. All right. Let's say you had, for some hypothetical reason, you had to finish the game in 1 month. Like, you only had one last month. Like, I don't know, the world's coming to an end or something. You had to finish this game. What 3 features or changes would you add to Numinous Online that really emphasize the core of what this game wants to be?
Honestly, I had a hard time.
Yeah, it's a really tough
thinking about that one. I want to say.
I don't even know how I would answer this myself for any of mine.
I would say, if anything, I would slow the combat down.
Yeah.
I like fast combat, don't get me wrong, but slow it down just enough to where you can actually react a little bit better. And we're actually working on that. It's just a matter of, if I only had a month left, I would actually do that.
Yeah.
That's an interesting point. Yeah, kind of. Because if it's too fast, then it's just twitchy.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. And then, and it's not real twitchy now. It's just, it needs to be more controlled. I deliberately did this for that reason. You
have to definitely refine it.
Yeah.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, how, like with the combat, is it like one hit kill, or is it like, do you got to stand there for a while and hit him many times, or? That's
another good question. The way we designed the system in Numinous was, we tried to, I said it from the very beginning, we will never put somebody in a negative position. You know, like if you want to gain something, you know, in a lot of games they take it away from you. Okay, if you want to gain magic damage,
then you have an appearance on defense. Or something.
they take away your defense. We didn't do that. We just said, okay, everybody starts out on an even playing field, and you gain whatever you gain in whatever area you want to gain in. And depending on that area, you're going to have your strengths and weaknesses, depending on your play style as well. So I kind of got off track there.
Well, we're definitely trying to. We don't want something where you have to hack and slash for 15 minutes to kill somebody. And we don't want to make it so that you get hit once and you get killed. We're just trying to find that balance where each battle takes, you know, if you're standing right in front of somebody and you don't move and let's say just swinging at each other, it takes a couple seconds to win or lose the battle. But we definitely don't want people to have to constantly chase each other around the map in order to fight. It's going to be somewhat fast-paced, but not so much that you get in, you get killed, and then you're like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah. I want to say probably the majority of that's going to depend on the player, because we set it up to where the game is more utilities
something
than
like
anything.
5 seconds.
The game is utility based. So if somebody's in your face with an axe, you know, break out a shield. If you don't have a shield, well, man, that's on you. You know, that kind of thing.
Or use an active ability to throw up a brick wall and run away.
Or teleport. Yeah,
exactly.
Anything. You know, we got a lot of cool stuff in the game.
So it's like a lot of like situational stuff where you got to make the player make a decision really quickly how to deal with the situation.
Right.
That's cool.
But we don't want to cripple anybody so that they don't have an outlet or a defensive capability, you know?
So it sounds like there's a lot of options in there.
There is.
Like I know you said that you have, what was it, over 400 weapon combinations?
That's correct.
Not weapon combinations.
Oh, is it abilities? I'm sorry. Yeah, my fault. He got technical. No, he's right. He's correct. It's basically what it is you know, you got your weapons, you got your separate types of weapons. Each weapon does specific things, whatever you would like it to do, you know, or whichever one you want to use for your play style. Then you have your magic abilities, your inactive abilities. Your inactive abilities are more for your passive abilities. Yeah. Your passive abilities, that's what you're boosting yourself up with. So you can stack it too. So if you wanted all strength, you can go all strength and do more damage. If you wanted all hit points, you can take a lot more. You know, stuff like that. And then you have active abilities. You know, some of them in which, if you're familiar with, you know, just sprint or dash or, you know, again, teleport or put up a brick wall or I mean, there's so many different things, and any way that you combine those to put them into your set when you go into play, that definitely equates to over 400 ability combos. Yeah.
Sounds like a lot of cool stuff could come out of that, especially that brick wall idea. Sounds like that would be a great way to evade an enemy, like block them in like a corridor or something like that.
That's exactly right. I think I did that to him on his first test run.
Cool.
It'd be cool to get on there, you know, threw the brick wall up and he was done.
And that sounds like a lot of fun. So, do you save your skills? Like, as it sounds like, you know, I mean, it's not an RPG, but it does sound like you do have to build yourself to some degree, whether it's just all of your abilities or equipment.
Like I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, is that something that's going to like restart every game that you play, or is that something that you keep and like build throughout time?
Just like, excuse me, just like your traditional games, you can save your loadouts. Okay. So like when you go into the game, you can choose between, I think it was what we have 3 right now. Yeah. I think we were thinking about expanding it to 5, but right now you have 3, and you can choose between which one is going to benefit you this match, you know, and.
Or if you get killed, you can change it and then respawn as, you know, with a different loadout to compensate. You know? Like
the traditional way. And then, you know, you gain points during the match, depending on what you do and how you do it.
But it's not like a traditional RPG where it's not a persistent player setup. It's just simply loadout. So you have your base player, everybody has that, and then you have your loadouts, and those loadouts modify the base player. Mm-hmm. So spending points is for unlocking these abilities that you can put in these loadouts, not for permanently enhancing your character.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Sounds interesting. Very, very approachable, yet can like expand, and sounds like a lot of diversity in the gameplay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And you can change it at any time. So you always have the ability to I guess if you wanted to use this term, it's not completely correct, but you could reassign your attributes in, you know, one way or another.
Right. And we deliberately put in the way you change your actual character look, i.e. Your armor. You know, depending on the armor that you have on, your armor actually boosts your stats as well, your main attributes. Right. So depending on the armor you have, and it'll become more visually recognizable to people who play quite often. If you look at somebody that's dressed in all of this, then you know that they're probably more defensive oriented or something, you know, but it's, yeah, it's really cool.
Cool. So, I don't know, I might have missed if you mentioned this, but so do you think there'll be like a store and like skill points to unlock the equipment and abilities, or like do you just unlock them at a certain level, or you have them all at the beginning?
No, we aimed for very quick play. Obviously, everybody's playing the web player portion of it now, so it takes a while to load, but this should be a standalone version of the game, which obviously will load a lot faster. So we actually wanted to take you from login to setting up your you're going to spend the majority of time pre-game setting up whatever type of player style you wanted. So if you wanted more magic in one loadout and more defense in another, you can have that situational base. But from there, you just go right into the game. I mean, you know, switch scenes and in you go, and then you're tossed in there with the.
Well, no. I think what he's asking is like, how do they get these abilities? So no, not all of them are unlocked right off the bat.
What?
But it's not a. You start off with a certain pool, and then you can either start off, you know, depending on the situation. You have, you know, the basics unlocked, and you can assign those and play with those. And then each kill, each achievement, each event within the game gives you a certain number of points. Those points are stored on a server, and then you can use them. If you want to call it a store, you could use it. You could call it a store, but it's like the Armory. You can use those points to unlock the next set of abilities. And then as you unlock them, you can use those, of course, to reassign. So it's not all available all at once. You do have to actually get to the point where you can to spend the points on the abilities themselves.
That's what I meant to say.
Okay. So will achievements tie into that?
Yes. Well, achievements, you know, you gain your specific points as you gain achievements during the matches and stuff.
Yeah, so, I guess we should differentiate between achievement and everything else, because we do have achievements themselves. So yes. Yeah, that's right.
And then with your achievements comes, you know, more powerful abilities.
Okay, so so will the achievements help you unlock things, or are they just kind of just for bragging rights?
For bragging rights.
Okay, cool.
Look, I can summon a dragon.
Well, yeah, no, they do give you something when you because you unlock an achievement, and then you can use that. Yeah, it's a bragging right, but it gives you something. It's not just like it's not a badge just to show I've done this. It actually, you know, like you said, it'll unlock the dragon, and if you have that particular achievement in your achievement slot, you can use that dragon during gameplay.
That's what I meant to say.
And that sounds really cool. Interesting twist on achievements then.
Actually reward people for, you know, playing the game. We appreciate them having fun with it, and so we're trying to make it as fun as possible. We are making it as fun as possible.
Yeah. Let me read that question real quick. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say we should probably jump take a look at some of these questions coming in from chats. Somebody was asking, I mean, I know it's pretty early on. I know that, you know, plans can always change. But how do you guys have any specific plans on monetizing the game? Like whether it's going to be a one-time purchase or microtransactions, or?
I'm pretty set on a one-time purchase. There will be a section of the game that what we call it the game master portion, where you can actually not host, but
you can manage
your own scenes and basically a game. So if you wanted more trees and less trees, you know, things of that nature, you can put it in there, and that may be a different purchasable.
Yeah,
I guess action.
It's in development. So.
Yes, but that's in development also. But it's definitely, if anything, one payment. It's not going to be micro payments.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I feel like that's like the way I prefer games, because it seems like free-to-play games, like it's nice because it's free and then everybody gets to try it, but at the same time, anybody who spends, you know, more than what you spend typically is more powerful than you. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, we definitely don't want it to be pay to win. And we do plan on releasing a version you can download as a demo that you can still play, but you can't unlock more. So that way you can actually, you know,
Play the game.
one thing I hate about buying a game is not being able to play it first. I want to find out whether I like it before I spend my money on it. So we definitely want to give people that chance, but we don't want to make a transaction or microtransaction environment where, yeah, free to play. Just kidding. No, it's not what we're going for.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like demos aren't as well utilized in today's gaming.
No, I agree.
As much as they should be. I feel like demos really need to be brought back.
Yep. Yeah, I definitely agree.
I remember back in the day when I used to like get like a Xbox disc or something that just had like 5 demos on it, and that was like the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah.
Actually, to Killer, he was talking about the Ouya or different consoles. If you don't mind, we are actually going to, after we get the platform set up for both Mac and PC, we are going to jump on the Ouya, and I'm actually in works right now talking to the Ouya development team, trying to see exactly where they're going to go with it, you know, as far as the what I want to say.
What?
Their API.
I wasn't listening.
Oh, of course. That's okay.
I was reading the question, sorry.
Just leave it out there. But anyway, we're in talks with them now, and I think we're actually going to build on the Ouya as well. So we're going to try to get it on, at least on the 3 different platforms.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, and the Ouya's great. Like, I don't know if you plan on this having the game be able to work with a controller or not, but even if you don't, the Ouya can have a mouse and keyboard plugged into it, so you can always make your game just work right out of the box that way.
That's absolutely cool.
Yep.
Let's see, what were some of the other questions that I saw? Somebody had a really long question. We kind of already answered this.
It was down further. That one. Oh.
How much more will you game time affect gameplay? Wait.
Which one will game time affect gameplay? Will it be doable for players that started today to kill a player? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And the great thing about that is when we decided to get into this, and of course I played multiplayer games for a very long time, and I think one of the hardest things to do, and probably it is balancing the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm also one of the type to get into a game and, you know, go charging in and get killed right away because somebody's got some super sniper rifle or you know, some super ability that just kills everybody in its path. You know, that's not what we were going for. Obviously, a dragon's a dragon. You get shot with that, you're gonna die. Most likely, if you get a rock, you know, smashed on your head, you're gonna, you know, something to that effect. But again, with the abilities that we give you utilities to adjust yourself to that situation. Yeah. So as a new player, you may be able to get away, and depending on how you have it set up, if you have it set up and the other person is set up to catch you, then you're probably not going to get away. So I mean, you got to give and take in there too. So it really depends on the player.
Yeah, it sounds like balancing will be quite tricky. Like once you release the game and update it with doing balancing, and even in before you even release it, you got to do some balancing. But
Absolutely.
Do you have any plans so far on how you're going to handle balancing and updating it to make sure that kind of stuff runs smoothly for all the different players?
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at a couple different options for patching and making sure that you always have a more balanced version because, like you said, it's going to be really crucial to balance it. And we are definitely listening to people who put feedback on our website or on any of the sites that we have anything up. We're definitely listening to people. We want to really incorporate what people say. I mean, if one person out of, you know, however many says, I don't really like this feature, then that may be, you know, something that maybe we just kind of leave alone because everybody else seems to like it. But, you know, if people are saying that something's wrong or things are imbalanced, then we're definitely taking into account what the player says and kind of setting aside what we thought may have been the best way to approach it and adjusting it based on what players say. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and I love how early you guys are putting out alphas. Or is this the first alpha you've put out?
This is the first one.
Yep.
Awesome. But yeah, it's great to get those alphas out really early because feedback in making video games is so important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. to Killer again. We're receptive to taking new members. We actually, we have a process that we do when we talk to new people, and that's just to make sure that they're on the same page as we are. And the main reason for that is I don't know how many different developers are in the channel, but there's a lot of times you get some team together, and the next thing you know, they fall apart next month, or you don't hear from them for a year, and then, hey, what happened to the game? That kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And we're not about that. We're about finishing this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a problem where just a lot of talk and then nothing ends up happening.
Right on.
Yep. Or yeah. So but if anybody was interested, I'm guessing contacting you through your website would be a good way.
Oh, absolutely. And if you have my email and you would like to link it to, that's fine too. I don't mind getting spam.
All right, great. Yeah, I'll probably, once I upload this to YouTube, I'll stick that in the description.
Okay, cool.
But let's see.
Oh, Doctor's asking if he needs to register. No, there's no test account. You do need to register. But don't worry, we're not going to be shooting you a bunch of spam advertisements or anything like that. It's just simply so that you can actually keep, when things go live, we don't want everybody to have to create all these new accounts again. We're trying to keep everything nice so that from the moment you create the account, you don't have to adjust it again other than to activate the game if you purchase it.
Oh, that's really cool. Let's see. My next question is, so far, what has been the most fun part of making Numinous Online?
Everything.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, it's the most fun out of all the fun is magic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Magic is, well, obviously the dragons are cool too, but magic is, I think it's one of those things where we're not limited to modern, weaponry and their law of physics. I mean, we're way outside that. If you want to, just creating the actual spell and hitting somebody with it, or having them hit them with a gravity bubble or something. Yeah. They start floating up 200 feet, and then they just the bubble pops or it goes away, or whatever happens. They fall to their death, or maybe they have the ability to teleport or float. You don't have to worry about that. But hey, that's in there. That's why I love the magic.
Yeah, I actually have to agree. I think from not necessarily game element portion of it, just from a programming portion of it, creating systems that are modular and work together, I think is the most fun and the most rewarding, because it's one thing to just create something that works. It's another thing to create something that's incredibly flexible and you can use elements of it in other things, and also making it easy on Keith when he actually creates these assets, creating a system that he can simply just go in and configure it the way he wants and it works. That's, for me, is the most rewarding part of the whole thing.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I would really agree with that. That's definitely probably one of my favorite ways to design games is modular and flexible, and being able to create a system that you can create off of without even touching the code once the code's already just set in place. Or if you do, it's just a little bit like tweaks here and there. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, because there's always, implementation of, why don't we do this, or I need it to work just a little bit different. So there's always a little bit of modification, but I don't have to rewrite an entire system just to make it work.
Yeah, that's really awesome. So what has been the hardest and least fun part?
Yeah, we both agree on this one.
Yeah, we sat here and we tried to think about it over and over again, but nothing has really been.
No, it's all been fun.
It's all been fun. I think the least of the fun would be creating these videos to try to push out there, because when it came to those videos, that was very tedious.
Oh yeah,
and
I think those were well put together.
Oh, I appreciate that, but that was probably about 200 hours worth of YouTube. Okay, how do you do this? Okay, and then you put it all together, and then okay, here we go, I got a video, and then to their a lot of critics out there that say it looks bad, or some people say it looks good. I get it, and I don't mind anybody saying anything about what we do, because it's actually a good thing to hear. It's not really negative if they have something constructive to say about it, and negative, you just kind of sit that aside if they don't have anything constructive.
This is garbage. Okay, well,
it's garbage.
We're gonna keep going.
That's just internet trolls.
Yeah, it's all good. But I think videos have been the most unfun of the fun things to do.
Yeah, it's really, really different from video game design. It's a whole nother medium.
It's a whole other YouTube session.
Yeah.
And to what's his name? No clue. LOL.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Where are we at?
Do you mind if I answer that question?
Where are we at?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I see it. Okay.
Yeah, that one. For me personally, that was a little tough, honestly, because well, I shouldn't say it was tough. It wasn't tough to get over. It was a little discouraging to see the lack of response on Kickstarter, but there wasn't a lack of response from the community. There was just simply a lack of response with funding, which is no big deal. Yeah, it kind of stings a little bit when you're like, okay, nobody's willing to pay for this yet, but at the same time, why should they? I mean,
there's nothing to show.
Yeah, there's nothing to show. Well, at the time that we put that out, there wasn't enough to really get people engaged.
Yeah.
But there was definitely a lot of feedback. So, I mean, that worked to our advantage, too, because we just saw, oh, well, we just need to push a little harder and get something out there for people to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and the other thing to that is, and for anybody else that's on Kickstarter or Indiegogo, we're on Indiegogo now, but anybody else that's on these crowdfunding sites and you're not making your quota, if you will, don't get discouraged. I mean, there's a science behind getting these projects funded. There is, and if you really dig, and unfortunately we didn't dig the first time at all, and we didn't dig enough probably the second time. I don't know, but there's an actual science to getting funded, and it's hitting the right people, the right places. That market has to be right on. Yeah. So do your research. Do your research.
Yeah, yeah. Marketing is such a weird and tricky thing.
Yeah.
Like I remember when I was doing my iPhone game, like was it like 2 years ago? I did tons and tons of research, but like I feel like you really have to, in order to understand what you've researched and what people tell you, you have to experience firsthand before you can fully understand it, especially in marketing with indie video games, because it's almost like a social thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It is. Yeah, you got to really understand it all.
Yeah, don't go out there blind. I mean, you got to get people involved, and it's
tough.
It's not as easy as just throwing it up there and being like, oh, sweet.
Yeah, well, when you got a game development going on, unless you're playing it yourself, you're building it for yourself to play by yourself. Yeah. I mean, there's really so many different aspects to actual development now that they probably didn't even have that back then. Unfortunately, you'd probably have to spend more money back then because it's not as easy to get it out to everybody.
Right, yeah.
But even now, it's so saturated that it's hard to get it out to everybody. Exactly. So, you got to give and take on that. But don't lose heart on that.
Yeah, you gotta start with a small audience and just build it up and
absolutely
just get more people interested in it and just talk with people. Like at first, it's really you have to build it up from just, hey, this one person I'm talking to online is interested and we're talking about video games. And then, like a month later, it's like, oh, now I got like 10 friends that I talk to on a regular basis online. And that just keeps building and building. I feel like, for me, that's where the social kind of aspect of indie marketing comes from. Yep,
absolutely. Yeah, it's more about making connections with people than it is about just having a good product.
Yep.
I didn't even realize that we were just talking about the next question that I had lined up. I think we just completely covered it.
Oh, that's
good. What's your experience, or what has your experience been like for your game on? I didn't even word this correctly.
That's
oh yeah, I guess we have kind of gone over that, huh?
Yeah, I think that's what we were just talking about. So I guess we can just skip over that one. Let's see. I guess I want to talk about the dragons a little bit before I ask the final question that I have here. I know you mentioned that there were other mounts, but I'm really interested in the dragon mounts too. Are those all just going to be like in the same game?
Yes. Yes and no. It's going to be, I guess, map based. Some maps, we're going to have team play anywhere between, you got the 1v1 arena. Obviously, you're not going to have a dragon in there. We may have a 1v1 or, a 2v2, dragon dogfight, if you will, or dragon fight.
Right, yeah.
But on the larger maps, probably larger scale battles, 15 versus 15 or higher, we would have the dragon mounts in there or the ground mounts.
Okay. So you're planning on them having just spawn points and you just first one to get to it gets the dragon?
Yeah, that's a fair assessment. We're going to try to tweak it a little bit more. Maybe I guess, incorporate some kind of way where more than one person can have one in the scene at a time. You know, of course, that's processor intensive. So, you know, but I mean, we can make it happen.
Yeah, and at the same time, we don't want, you know, everybody on a dragon.
Why not?
And, well, yeah, in some situations, yes. But, you know, we want to try, again, that's striking the balance, you know, finding out what works and what doesn't.
Yeah, yeah, it's true.
Yeah, it sounds like it'll be a lot of fun. I really can't wait to see, like, 2 dragons in the air fighting while people shooting fireballs into the air and at each other and shooting fireballs down onto people. I mean, like, it really does sound like Battlefield with magic and dragons.
And people flying everywhere.
Yeah, ragdolls.
But he keeps me grounded, though. If it was up to me, the whole map would just blow up every now and again. But yeah, he keeps me grounded.
But just imagine what it's going to feel like if you throw that last fireball and you kill the dragon, and you see this huge dragon falling from the sky with the player that was riding it just falling down to the ground. I mean, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I really love that ragdoll effect with the dragon. You hear that like really heavy thump as it like knocks against the mountain. That's such a, I don't know, like, I know it's not, you're not supposed to want to kill your dragon, but it's such a satisfying feeling watching that dragon just smash into the side of a cliff.
Oh yeah,
I did it over and over again.
We sit there for 15 minutes just flying into walls and castle walls and everything.
I also really like the that wind sound effect when you start picking up speed with the dragon. That added like a really cool element of realism.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we try. You know, the funny thing is if you're developing a game and you have it to where you don't have your sound in yet, it's like so dull and boring.
Yeah,
you know, it's like
so.
You know, but you're trying to tweak it to get it just, you know, how you want it, and then you put the sounds in. Totally different. It just, I mean, it brings out all.
Yeah, that's something I have a problem with in my games too, where I wait way too long to put the sounds in, because sound design is like on the complete opposite of what I'm comfortable and good at doing.
Yeah.
No, that's all right though. You know, hey, just put a couple door knocks in there when you're swinging a sword. It's cool.
Yeah.
Wait.
All right. Well, I guess that kind of brings us to this brings us to the final question. And if somebody wanted to be in your shoes and do what you do, what advice would you give him or her?
Don't give up.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Yeah, honestly, that is don't get me wrong. I will be 100% honest with everybody in this room, and always will be. I have thought about giving up so many. But you got to drive. You got to keep driving. I mean, we're not going to. I know this now.
And I give up. We're going to keep driving.
We're going to keep driving. But, you know, it's so easy to jump off that bus. I mean, it really is.
Yeah, it is. So, I mean, he's got, you know, kids and a wife, and I just got married. I actually got married while we were making this game. And it's I think that's where I see a lot of people falling off is, you know, they get, you know, family gets in the way. And I shouldn't say gets, that's not the right word, or not the right phrase, but you know, you have your obligations to your family, and you got to sacrifice something somewhere, and it's not necessarily with your family, but I'm just sacrificing sleep for 2 years just so I can make sure I spend time with my wife, so that she doesn't feel like I'm neglecting her. So, and it gets tough.
You got to put in the heart. You know, I go to work at 4 a.m. I get off, and by the time he gets off, it's pretty much my bedtime. Yeah. But when he gets over here, you know, we pull all-nighters, and I'll go to work from there, and it's just. You gotta keep it going. Yep.
Sounds like you guys are really working hard at this.
Well, we're trying to get there.
Trying to wear ourselves out in the process.
All right, so I guess that's the advice for anybody looking to do what these guys are doing: is just work really, really hard and never give up.
Yeah, don't give up.
Don't listen to the naysayers.
Yeah, the negative. That's the only thing. Let me touch on that a minute. You're going to get a lot of negative feedback. You're just going to. That's just the way it is.
It's always going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to happen. Even if one person likes what you're doing, that is enough to keep you going. And one person does, and that's at least you.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. Yeah, if you don't believe in what you're doing, you probably shouldn't be doing it. Honestly, I mean, you got to be 100% behind it and into what you're doing.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah, there's always going to be those trolls that are going to just mindlessly tell you that you're bad or dumb or whatever.
Oh, yeah. But, just keep checking back. We'll keep updating this demo as we develop. and try to make it a little bit better for you, a little bit smoother. Probably put it on a. I think we're gonna probably put it on a different server and make it a little bit load a little bit faster.
So you can download it faster.
Stuff to that effect. But now just enjoy what we have, and if you have some feedback, that'd be great.
Let us know. Yeah,
I'm kind of doing
the more feedback, the better.
Yeah, I'm doing a last-minute demonstration here on the live stream, so that's why I'm kind of trying to concentrate on getting through these rings. Okay. I love that effect when the dragon hits the wall. But yeah, I can't wait to see the next bit of alpha. I know it's probably not safe of me to ask this, but is there any let's give like a wide window of, do you have any estimation of when that might be available?
Well, if everything goes according to plan, which
it never does in video game design.
Well, we have a lot of things on the table. Like say Indiegogo, for instance. We could really use the money to put it towards what we need to get accomplished done, so that way we can get it into the next phase. But we're shooting for end of June, probably to get it out of alpha and into beta, or at least a lot more portions of alpha out there for people to test out.
Yeah, at the very least, something more to give them an idea of what the game is about.
Awesome. Well, I'm really looking forward to that.
Cool.
So I will. How about before we go, I'm gonna quickly pull up the Indiegogo page and link that in the chat. So Numinous.
Thank you, Stubbing My Toe, by the way, and Lego Boomy.
Yeah, thank you. No clue. Yeah, we're gonna push forward. We didn't get it on Kickstarter, and we're still here.
It doesn't matter.
We'll still be here next year if we don't get it on this.
It's gonna be done one way or the other.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be done.
Yep, that's such a good spirit. But so anybody who is interested, Numinous, here I'll just put it right there. Numinous Online is on Indiegogo. So I guess if you just search Numinous Online Indiegogo, it will be the first search result. So if anybody is interested in backing that, does them backing it, they pre-order the game, it looks like?
Oh, absolutely.
It looks like you got a lot of different rewards here.
Yeah, they definitely get a copy of the game there. 2 copies, at some levels.
Oh, yeah.
We really need to get to the next phase. Everything short of me, prostituting myself. I guess I shouldn't say that, but anything short of that,
But how long has it been in the making? Well, I guess that was from the beginning of the chat, but 2 years of computer development, and then like 2 or 3 years before that was just ideas.
Yeah, the first 2 years was about concept, and the last 2 years is really hardcore actual development.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you for being on the show and talking about your game. I'm really excited to play it.
I appreciate that. Yeah, thanks for having us.
It was awesome.
All right, great. And so this video will be uploaded to the YouTube, so you guys will be able to check it there. And we'll put all the links in the description of that YouTube video. So thank you for everybody who came to the live stream. Thank you once again for being on the live stream. And I guess until next time, keep making games. And Twitch froze. Okay, well, it'll come maybe, or maybe it's just completely frozen. I don't know. Oh, there it is. All right. See everyone later.
All right.
Take care. Thanks again.
Thank you.